When dividing with decimals, we want to make sure that it's a nice whole number that we're dividing by. So that's what we're going to start with. With division, we want to know and be familiar with the vocabulary words to set up the problem. Those words are dividend, divisor, and quotient. The dividend is always the total number that we're trying to split up. The divisor is the number that we're splitting them into, or the number that we're dividing by. In other terms, the number of groups. Notice where that divisor is located. The divisor is listed second, or it's on the bottom when it's set up like a fraction, and it goes on the outside of our division box. The dividend, that total number, is always going to go inside the box. It's on the top of the fraction, and it's listed first. So when the number listed first, that's our dividend, that's going to go in the division box. It's green. And the divisor, the number we're dividing by, is going to go on the outside so that we can write our quotient on the top of the box. Another phrase you'll hear is topsy in the boxy. The top number, the dividend, goes inside the box. Topsy in the boxy. Just a fun way to remember it. So for this first one, because 85 and 8400 is listed first, it's the dividend, and it's going to go inside the box. And we're going to divide by 4, our divisor. Place by place. It's helpful to put the decimal straight up right from the beginning. 4 goes into 8 exactly 2 times. We check it to subtract underneath, and then we bring down the next place value. So now we're just checking the 5 rather than checking all of it at once. 4 goes into 5 1 time, double check, because 1 times 4 is 4. We subtract, now we have 1 left over. That digit, the 5, was directly before the decimal, which is why the 1 is directly before our decimal. Now the next time we bring down the 8, it's after the decimal, so our next digit is going to go after the decimal. 4 goes into 18 4 times, which gives us 16, with 2 left over, and we bring down the 4. 4 goes into 24 6 times. Perfectly. So that gives us the answer of 21 and 46 hundredths. To double check that we have our decimal in the correct place, we can always use multiplication to check that. So we take our answer, that quotient, and we're going to multiply it by our divisor of 4. 4 times 6 is 24. Carry the 2 to the next place value, which gives us 16 plus 2 is 18. Carry it again. This time we get 5. And this time we get 8. You'll notice that we have 2 digits to the right of the decimal, so we need 2 more down here in our answer, which matches our dividend from the beginning. So we know that our answer was correct and our decimal's in the right place. If we check the next one, again, 79 and 2 hundredths is our dividend. It goes in the box. And we're going to divide by 3, digit by digit. 3 goes into 7 2 times, giving us 6, with 1 left over. Bring the 9 down. 3 goes into 9 6 times, which is 18. 1 left over. We're to the decimal, so we want to bring that decimal straight up, and then we can bring that 0 down. So our next digit is going to go after the decimal, because the 0 is after the decimal. 3 goes into 10 3 times, which is 9, with 1 left over. Bring down our 2, and 3 goes into 12 exactly 4 times. So we have none left over, giving us 26 and 34 hundredths for our answer. Again, we can always use multiplication to check, so we take our quotient, and we're going to multiply it by our divisor for a nice little fact family. That's going to give us 12, 10, 19, and 7. Double check, we have 2 digits to the right of our decimal, so we need 2 digits again to the right of our decimal, which matches what we had. So always a good way to check that our decimal's in the correct place. We could also use an estimate just to get somewhere close, rather than doing exact values. 26 and 34 hundredths, a wide range estimate is about 25. It's really close to 25, and 25 times 3, or 3/4, is worth 75 cents. And 75 is pretty close to 79, so we know we have the place value correct. This isn't checking all of the digits, but it does check the decimal placement. An estimate can check the decimal. For this next one, make sure that we set it up correctly. And go place by place. 6 does not go into 1. 1 is smaller, so we put an X above it so that we hold our place value. Then we check the full 10, the first 2 digits. 6 goes into 10 1 time, so 1 goes above the 0, the last digit in 10, which gives us 6. So when we subtract, we have 4 left over, and we can bring down that 5. 6 goes into 45 7 times, which gives us 42. With 3 left over. Now if we look up, we just brought the 5 down, now we're to the decimal, so we need to put the decimal up, then we can bring the 6 down, and our next digit is going to be after our decimal. 6 goes into 36 exactly 6 times, with none left over. So 17 and 6/10 is our final answer. For the next one, you'll notice this time that our divisor is 2 digits. That's okay as long as there's no decimal in the divisor. So then we can divide. We have 43 and 2/10 as our dividend, divided by 12, our divisor. We're going to take the full 12 and still go digit by digit. 12 does not go into 4, so we put an X above it. Now we're checking the full 43. And 12 goes into 43 3 times. We can always check off to the side. So we know 12 times 3 is 36. And when we subtract, we get 7. We can show our work by borrowing. And 13 minus 6 is 7. Now we're to the decimal, so that decimal needs to go straight up. Super important. Before we bring the 2 down. Now we're checking 12 into 72. 12 times 3 was 36. So if we double it, 12 times 6, you'll notice 6 times 2 is 12, with 7. So our 6 is our lucky number because that matches perfectly. So we know that 3 and 6/10 is that final answer. 2 more examples. This time it has a few more digits in it, but that's okay. We're just going to organize our work very carefully. Dividend inside the box, divided by 13, digit by digit. 13 does not fit into 1. However, it does fit 1 time into 16, giving us 3 left over. Then we can bring down the 1, and 13 goes into 31 2 times. Again, you can always show your work off to the side. There's no need to do it all in your head because we have the paper, which gives us 26. So when we subtract, we have 5 left over, and we brought down the 1 from this column. Now we're to the decimal, so the decimal needs to go straight up before we bring the 2 down. Notice how the arrows are also helping me keep everything nice and aligned, writing neatly. Grid paper can be really helpful if this is something you struggle with. We brought down to the 2, so now we're checking 13 into 52. 2 times gave us 26. If we wanted to check 3 times, we could. The next one in line. That gives us 39. We always want to check to see as close as we can get. So if we check times 4, that gives us 52, which is our exact value. So 4 times 13 fits into 52 perfectly. So now we have a 0. That 4 went after the decimal because the 2 we brought down was right after the decimal. This next 2 we bring down. We check again. Does 13 go into 2? And this time it doesn't. Before, when it didn't work, we put an X, but this time it's within our answer. So 13 goes into 2 0 times, and we put a number there instead, which is 0 when we multiply. So we still have 2. Then we bring down the 6. This part is really important because that 0 has to show that we're getting to the thousands place. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths, because the 6 is in the thousands place. We know we have to get that far out. Then when we check, 13 goes into 26 exactly 2 times, as we multiplied before, with none left over. So we know that 12 and 402 thousandths is our answer. That 0 is very, very important. In our last example, you'll notice that our dividend has a decimal, and that is okay. That's what we've had all along. Even though it's smaller than our divisor of 20, we still set it up the exact same way. 5/10 divided by 20, and we go place by place. 20 does not fit into the 0, so we could either put a 0 or an X. Now we got to the decimal, so that's going to go straight up, and now we can ignore the decimal and think of it as if it's not even there. 20 goes into 5. It does it. 20 is bigger, so it goes in there 0 times. This time it has to be a 0 because it's to the right of the decimal, which is 0, and now we're checking as we go. We still have that 5 left over. We talked about how we can add a 0 at the end, and it's not adding any value, and we can bring down that 0. Now 20 goes into 52 times, which gives us 40. Then when we subtract, we have 10 left over, so we still have to add another 0. And 20 goes into 100 exactly 5 times. So we know that 5/10 divided by 20 is 0 and 25 thousandths for our final answer. Notice how organization was really important. If you struggle keeping everything nicely aligned, grid paper is available for you to use so that you can organize your work.